This is the 0640 departure to Wolverhampton. Board passengers here before heading north, so press T to open the doors, press H to put on the headlights, close this dialog box, and wait for departure. Okay, on this video we're following along train 9 Golf 01, the 0640 London Euston to Wolverhampton service, operated by Avanti West Coast. Calling at London Euston, Watford Junction, Milton Keynes Central, Rugby, Coventry, Birmingham International, Birmingham New Street, Senwell and Dudley, and Wolverhampton. We're only going as far as Birmingham New Street. So this video will be, the journey from London to Birmingham is going to be split into 3 parts. So part 1 from London Euston to Milton Keynes. Part 2 will be Milton Keynes to Coventry, and then part 3 from Coventry to Birmingham New Street. I would do it all in one go, but then the video would be way too long, and then editing would be a pain, because I'm going to try and edit in all the station names as we pass by them. The next stop is Watford Junction at 6:55. So return the guard's bell, put the reverser to forward, and power to notch 2. Departing London Euston, the speed limit is 25 miles an hour, and we have about 17 miles to our first stop, which is Watford Junction. Oh yeah, I should point out that this is a freeway route called the West Coast Main Line South, version 5.2. on Alan Thompson, and it does have a bunch of requirements. I have most of them, so don't be surprised if you see some things that are missing, like that road we just passed. So coming up to 25 miles an hour. I should also point out that there is an Avanti reskin for the original Pendolino, but the one that I got from Blue Rail doesn't have a reskin for all the motor vehicles, so you're just dragging along a bunch of trailers, and that just weighs it down a lot. So it's like a Pendolino but dragging a giant brick behind it that just slows it down. So I just got a Virgin reskin from, I think it's DP Simulation. It was made by Horgy, Horgy. And this one is a lot older because it's Virgin. You can just ignore the Virgin branding and just replace it with nothing. But I think that's going to be the only outside shot. So I wasn't sure about this bit, about which line the train would take, because it could take this line or the one next to it. Also, I really like this tunnel. Speed limit is now 40 miles an hour, going up to 50. So in the description will be a link to the route, so alanthompsonsim.com, and then below that will be a link to the scenario which you can download and try, because this took absolutely ages to make, even with the reduced service. So on the left shortly will be Camden Road carriage sidings, which LNWI used to store their 350s, and also 321s before they moved north to ScotRail. I think they also have some 319s as well for the St Albans branch, and peak trains out of Euston. So speed limit is now 50 miles an hour. I wonder why Dovetail hasn't kind of covered this route already. I mean, it's an amazing route. So many different trains you can use in this part. I mean, it has a good connection with the North London line, which they've already done. It has a connection with the West Coast Main Line Trent Valley at Rugby, which they've already done. You can also, if you extended it more beyond Wolverhampton, you could go to Stafford and make a loop. As we leave the tunnel, the speed limit is going up to 80 miles an hour, and the station on the right is Queen's Park on the Watford DC line. I think it's also the brown line. Which one's that? on the underground? Is it the Hammersmith City or is it the Bakerloo line? Like, I think if Jeff Marshall kind of watched this, he would be very disappointed right now. So speed limit is now 80, shortly going up to 100. Oh, just a word of warning. When I was play testing this route earlier, so this is my second drive. There was quite a lot of lag as the game tried to load in the next part of the route. I mean, there's not much. I think the person who made this definitely would have taken into consideration all of the performance problems that can come with the route. So I think he did it as little scenery as possible. I don't remember the station on the right we just passed. I think that before we get to Willesden, the station before that will be Kensal Green. So we're still at 100. Yeah, if you want to know the station names, I will put them as a caption in the video when I get around to editing it. Because editing in all the station names is going to take a really long time. So on the right is Kensal Green before we go through the tunnel and emerge into Willesden, where I predict the frame rate will kind of fall off a cliff. So approaching Willesden, the speed limit is now 105 miles an hour. It shouldn't be too long before we get to 125. So we should be able to accelerate to 105 now. There's a 378 in Willesden depot, or one of the Willesden depots. Also, what I noticed with this is that the overhead line equipment here is, I don't think it's loaded in correctly. I think in the footnotes it did say that the OHLE disappearing is a known issue. So let's bring the speed back down to 105. I mean, because considering this is free and that the level of detail that's being put into it, this route is absolutely phenomenal. I think Alan Thompson himself said on a video that the person who made this put about 8 to 12 hours into this each day. That's insane. Speed limit is now 120 miles an hour. Oh yeah, the frame rate should increase as we get past Milton Keynes and out of London towards the countryside. So I hope you don't mind a very low frame rate. So on the right is, I think it's Wembley. So I just put in a few 66s and some hoppers. So immediately after Wembley Yard should be Wembley Central. I think the unique thing about this station is that because the train's coming through it goes so quickly and that the station is in an enclosed space, passengers have to wait in a separate area until the train comes to a stop. I think it's because of all the wind with this turbulence. I'm pretty sure there's meant to be a roof there. So we're now overtaking a container train heading north towards Garston. Yeah, we will be overtaking quite a few trains as we head north. I should also have put on the reskin patch for that. So that was North Wembley. Yeah, that quite a lot of stations, as I said earlier. Speed limit is now 125. So when I get to 124, I'm going to put the speed set on. This is South Kenton. So I'll start braking for Watford when we pass Bushy, because brakes on the Pendolino are really powerful. We're now coming up on Kenton Station. I think the underground lines finish at Harrow and Wealdstone, and then it's just purely London Overground all the way to Watford. So as I said, the route detail is absolutely amazing. It's so well done. So we are now approaching Harrow and Wealdstone, which has platforms on all lines. There's a 377 from Clapham to Watford. Yeah, because of their reduced service, only running between Clapham and Watford and not East Croydon to Milton Keynes. Maybe I should do a future video taking a 377 from Watford to Clapham. Like on this route from Watford to Wealdstone, then on the Goblin line I should do like Wealdstone to Clapham. That should be cool. And then just merge the two together in editing. So we're now passing through Headstone Lane. And there's a 378 going towards Watford. So about 4.5 miles left. So when we get to Bushy, I'll start braking. I'll pass through Hatch End station. I mean, performance on this route is good, but it slows down every now and then just to load in the next part of the map. I also thought it was a good time to pick to do the train because I thought it was a nice idea to have the sunrise in the distance. Yeah, when we get to Birmingham, it will be about 10 past 8 and the sun is still rising. I think it is. So this is Carpenter's Park. So speed limit is going down to 110. Fourteen, 13, 12, 11, 10. So I like having the view zoomed all the way out, just so I can see more of the cab. Because if you imagine you're actually sitting in a Pavilion cab, you will be able to see everything, I think, depending where you put the seat. Also, I like how you have the window view out the left. So this is Bushy Station, and we have about 1.5 miles to Watford Junction. So the Watford DC line will go off on the left towards Watford High Street and then come back into Watford Junction, where it doesn't go any further than that. So at Watford Junction we're coming into platform 6, and I'm aiming to stop right at the end of the platform as this train is formed of 11 coaches. So the single yellow on the right is for the southern train that's terminating into platform 10, one of the bay platforms. So the thing about Watford Junction is that platforms on the left are numbered 1 to 4. Then you got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think what happened to platform 5 was that during the modernisation project, it was kind of in the way, and then they kind of demolished it. And then I think they kind of didn't want to rename the other platforms for some reason. So I think if you don't know Watford too well, you'll probably be wondering where platform 5 is. Because it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is Watford Junction. Yeah, I've also had to kind of turn down my graphics settings, like turn off anti-aliasing, just so it runs a bit smoother. during the recording. So arrival at Watford Junction. The next stop is Milton Keynes Central at 7:15. So doors have closed. Return the guard, buzzer, reverser to forward and power to notch 3. So departing Watford Junction, the speed limit is 110 miles an hour and we have 32 miles to Milton Keynes, where this part will end. So, interesting thing about Watford Junction stop is that it's pick up only, as you can see down here. I guess Avanti didn't want people to just get the train between Euston and Watford because you can just get an LNWR train. But I was saying though, why isn't Milton Keynes pick up only? So the next station we'll pass through is King's Langley. I wonder why Dovetail hasn't done this already. I think you've already said that. So because we now have this rated train sim, it opens up so many different possibilities now. Because you can do the London sleeper all the way to Glasgow. Well, assuming if you have the line between Stafford and Crewe, and then Crewe to Preston. Speed limit is now 115. The speed limit is now going up to 125 miles an hour. So because we're all in quarantine and nobody is using the train, everybody is running a reduced service. So out of Euston, Avanti are still operating trains from London to Liverpool, Manchester, Glasgow, Wolverhampton. I think LNWR are only running trains out of Euston to Northampton, and then you can change for a train to Birmingham New Street. And they're also running trains from Coventry to Birmingham as well. So this is King's Langley station. So it is a lot quieter than usual. I mean, it made making the scenario a lot easier because I didn't have to put in all the stopping trains and all the Avanti trains. I wonder when Avanti are going to get their new IETs, and what are they going to call them? Like, are they going to be like Virgin and call them something original like Azuma, or are they going to be like GWR and just call them IETs and be completely boring with it? I think whole trains IETs are called Paragons or something, with the new 802.3s, I think. So I think it's just 125 all the way to Milton Keynes. Now passing through Apsley station. Apsley with a P. So as I said earlier, some assets may be missing because I don't have all of the requirements. I have most of them, but not all of them. It means it looks complete to me. There's only a few things here and there. So I think recently I have noticed that there are quite a lot more container trains around the UK, out of Weltlug and Felixstowe and Trafford Park, kind of all going through the North London line towards Felixstowe. We're now passing through Hemel Hempstead station. Yeah, I think it's because everybody needs PPE and medicine and other things and food because of the pandemic, and everybody keeps panic buying things, which means rail freight has to transport more freight. I mean, because there's a reduced service, it's not really, because there's a reduced passenger service, it's not really that much of a problem, because the less passenger trains you have opens up more freight paths. I guess one problem would be getting all the trains between Felixstowe and Ipswich to the single track line through Derby Road. I think that Rail are planning on double tracking that route so you can put more freight down it. They should do. I think it's worthwhile. Oh yeah, neutral sections. Because this is the original Pedalino from like 2010 or something. Neutral sections aren't simulated on this Pedalino. I think they are on the new one, which has been discontinued. Maybe because something to do with Virgin, I don't know. But because that's been discontinued, I can't use it, and I didn't think to buy it because I thought it was crap. So we're just stuck with this one. Unless Dovetail decided to figure something out with it, like take the Virgin branding off it and then put it back on the store. Or maybe like sign a deal with Avanti or something. When I'm passing through Berkhamsted station. Yeah, I have seen quite a few videos on here on YouTube about Pedalinos coming around here at 125 on Maximum Tilt. It looks really cool. As I was saying, Dovetail could like sign a deal with Avanti to put their trains in TrainSim, and then using the modern model, just so we can have that back. Just take the Virgin branding off and just stick the Avanti logo on, or maybe just leave it completely white like most of the Pedalinos are now. So the next station will be Tring. I think LNWR used to run like stopping trains between Euston and Tring during peak time. But now there's no real point in doing that because quarantine. So that signal back there was yellow. I think there's I think it's either a stopping train or another container train heading north. Alright, sorry about the poor frame rate. It's just trying to load in the next part of the map. I think when PTG Rail did a video on the line into Waterloo, I think he got about 15 FPS. And his computer is way more powerful than mine is. This is Tring Station. I think his graphics were turned up to maximum and he had the recording going on as well. I think he used Fraps back then, and I'm using the Windows DVR because I can't use anything else. I think this container train is heading to Trafford Park from Felixstowe. I think the West Coast Main Line is, was busy as it normally is now for freight, whether or not it's in quarantine. Because freight is very important to everyone because it saves you having to use a plane. And I'm pretty sure that transporting freight by rail is cheaper than using the aircraft. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. Probably I'm wrong. Because everything to do with trains is expensive. So the next station will be Chennington. Then Leighton Buzzard, then Bletchley, and then Milton Keynes. I think everybody knows this about Bletchley already, but I think it's where Alan Turing designed and constructed the first mechanical computer during World War II. I mean, you know that if you watch the Imitation Game movie. And then obviously after Alan Turing had deciphered the... what's it called? Deciphered the Enigma, I think the government kind of wanted to tear it down, I think, because of secrecy. Then like in about 20-30 years later, Then about 20-30 years later, then I think IBM would develop the first electrical computer, the personal computer that we have today. So this is Chennington Station. And we have about 13.5 miles to Milton Keynes, and there's the Caledonian Sleeper from Inverness and Glasgow to Euston. There's a stopping 350 to Northampton. There is something really cool about seeing trains overtake each other. So the next station will be Bletchley. So on the right as you pass Bletchley should be an overpass. I don't know why BR decided to build it, because I don't think it's ever used. I mean, what use would you have for it other than freight? Also from Bletchley you can get an LNWR train turning going right towards Bedford, where you can link up with the Midland Main Line. So I think after I finish this kind of mini series up to Birmingham, then the video after that will be, I think, like a Voyager from Birmingham to Coventry, or like a stopping train between Birmingham and Coventry, or like Northampton to Euston, stopping at more stations. Because this route does have an insane amount of potential. So this is Leighton Buzzard, and we have about 10 miles to Milton Keynes, and the speed limit is still 125. So it shouldn't be too long until we get to Bletchley. I know Bletchley had some carriage sidings that LNWI use, but when I made the scenario I kind of forgot about them and left them empty. So yeah, Bletchley will be a bit empty. So speed limit is still 125 miles an hour. Yeah, between here and I think it's like Rugby, we will be at 125 for most of the route, most of the way there. Maybe I should take like a container train from Rugby to Wembley. Or like if someone could make a series on like Coatbridge to Felixstowe. I think Alan Thompson could do that. But he probably won't, because he would probably have to wait for someone to make the scenario for him, unless I could do that. Yeah, honestly, you can't make the video because trains from Coatbridge to Felixstowe normally leave at night, and then get to Felixstowe in the morning. And my graphics settings normally make nighttime look completely dark because my PC isn't that powerful enough to have dynamic lighting on. So hopefully we should be coming up on Bletchley station. Then shortly after passing Bletchley, I'll start braking for Milton Keynes. Yeah, sorry for the low frame rate, but there's just a lot to render. I think. Or maybe it's due to the fact that the route is about 100 miles long. So approaching is the overpass at Bletchley. I don't know what it's used for, maybe it's freight, or maybe it's just completely useless. This is a Bletchley station, where Alan Turing developed the first mechanical computer. So we have about 3 miles left to Milton Keynes Central. So put the power to neutral, or 0. I think I'll start braking about 1.5 miles from Milton Keynes. Just like put it into maximum brake, but not too far into emergency brake. So it should be greens all the way to Birmingham. There shouldn't be anything holding us up. So start braking for Milton Keynes, put it all the way to near maximum. So at Milton Keynes we are due into platform 6 and I'm aiming to stop right at the end of the platform. So just release the brakes a bit. I think I'm aiming to stop, aiming to come into the platform at about 30 miles an hour. Uh, 50. So there's another Avanti train to Euston. Hopefully I should be able to stop. I guess you can come in here at 50 miles an hour. So arrival at Milton Keynes. This is where the first part ends. Thank you for watching. Follow me on Twitter for future video updates. So part 2 will be to Coventry.